Good day, learners! Maayo na adlaw. This video will guide you in your statistics and probability lessons. The focus of this video is identifying appropriate rejection region for a given level of significance. Disclaimer: this video is for educational purposes only. This shall serve as support learning material to maximize or improve learners' performance in statistics and probability. No copyright infringement is intended. Borrowed materials, music, pictures, brand names, trademarks, etc. included in this video are owned by the respective copyright holders. The author does not represent nor claim ownership over them. Let's have the learning competency for this video. The learner identifies the appropriate rejection region for a given level of significance when the population variance is assumed to be known, the population variance is assumed to be unknown, and the central limit theorem is to be used. So this is the learning competency for this video. Now let's start with the critical value, level of significance, and rejection region. To have a better understanding, let's define a critical value. In hypothesis testing, a critical value is a point on the test distribution that is compared to the test statistic to determine whether to reject the null hypothesis. So, critical value is being used to determine whether to reject the null hypothesis, and it is being compared to the test statistic. Critical values for a test of hypothesis depend upon the test statistic, which is specific to the type of the test, and significance level, which defines the sensitivity of the test. A value of 500 or alpha is equal to 500 implies that the null hypothesis is rejected 5% of the time when it is in fact true. So it is clear that critical values depend upon the test statistic. So magkaiba po ang critical values na ginagamit ng z-test at iba din po yung sa t-test. So depende sa test statistic na gamit, at ang pinagbabasehan po natin is ang level of significance or the significance level. Let's have this critical value for Z distribution. You should be familiar of this Z distribution. So, ang critical value for Z distribution will be used in Z-test. Okay? A critical value of Z-score is used when the sampling distribution is normal or close to normal. Z-scores are used when the population standard deviation is known or when you have larger sample sizes. While the z-score can also be used to calculate probability for unknown standard deviations and small samples, many statisticians prefer using the t-distribution to calculate this probability. So this is the table of critical values for z-score. We have the left-tailed or the type of test. We have the level of significance. Left-tailed test, when the alternative hypothesis is less than, then it is a left-tailed test. Right-tailed test, when the alternative hypothesis is greater than. And two-tailed test, if the alternative hypothesis used is not equal. So, ang alpha level for an instance, 100, ito po yung magiging value kung left-tailed test, negative 2 and 33 hundredths. Dito naman, sa 25 thousands, ang right-tailed test niya is 1 and 96 hundredths. Dito naman sa two-tailed test, 2 and 33 hundredths, positive and negative. Tandaan, two-tailed test, positive and negative ang ginagamit kasi two-tailed test. So dalawang rejection region meron ang two-tailed test from left and right. Sa left-tailed test, dito lang po siya sa negative side lang po. Ang right-tailed test is nasa positive side naman po. So, dapat, para mo ma-identify ang critical value under the Z distribution, alam mo kung ano ang type of test and alam mo din ang value ng level of significance. So, ito po yung gagamitin na table ng critical values for z-score. Critical value of t-distribution. The t-distribution values are critical values of the t-distribution. The column here is the t-distribution probabilities or the alpha. The row names are the degrees of freedom. So, ang t-distribution naman ay gagamitin natin pag ang gamit natin ay t-test. So, anong kailangan na values para mo makuha ang critical value ng t-distribution? Dapat alam mo yung alpha level at alam mo din yung degrees of freedom. And aside from that, dapat alam mo din kung ano yung type of test. To find critical values of t-distribution, identify the level of significance. As I have mentioned a while ago, that you should know what is the level of significance. Next, identify the degrees of freedom, which is n-1 or the number of samples minus 1. Yan po ang degrees of freedom. Find the critical value using t-distribution in the row with n-1 degrees of freedom if the hypothesis test is left-tailed, right-tailed, and two-tailed. Left-tailed with negative sign, right-tailed positive sign, and two-tailed column with negative and positive sign. So ito po yung t-distribution. So dapat alam mo kung anong type of test, one-tailed ba or two-tailed, and then degrees of freedom. For example, kung one-tailed sa taas ka titingin ng alpha level, kung two-tailed sa baba naman po. And then tingnan mo dito yung degrees of freedom. For an instance, 1 ang degrees of freedom, so ito yung 1, and then one-tailed 500, ito one-tailed 500, at ito yung 1. So therefore, ang value niya po ay 6 and 311,000. Yan po ang pagkuha ng degrees of freedom. For an instance naman po, 4 ang degrees of freedom niya, or 5 ang samples, minus 1, 4. And then, ang two-tailed test siya, 5% two-tailed test, ang value niya po is 2 and 776,000. So, yan po ang pagkuha ng critical value ng t-distribution. So, tandaan, dapat meron kang degrees of freedom, alam mo yung type of test, and alam mo yung alpha level bago mo makuha yung critical value ng t-distribution. So, sa Z value, kailangan mo lang kung anong type of test and ano yung alpha level. Wala dong degrees of freedom. Ang may degrees of freedom lang po ay ang t-distribution. So, yan lang po for this video. Thank you for watching this video. I hope you have learned something. If you have queries on this topic, please ask me personally during our classroom interaction or message me through my messenger account. Keep learning. This is Sir Ronel.